As a registered dietitian, one of the questions that often gets brought up during my consults with clients is whether there is any advantage to taking a multivitamin, and if yes, which one I recommend. So I thought that in this video I'd go over both questions, and first I'll start discussing my thoughts on whether you should consider taking a multivitamin, and then I'll give you some tips to keep in mind when trying to pick the best vegan multivitamin for your needs. So let's dive right into it, shall we? Let me share some of my thoughts on multivitamins. Generally speaking, I prefer single vitamin and mineral supplements over multivitamins for several reasons. And the first is that nutrients tend to compete with one another for absorption, and that's the case for calcium and iron, for example. So having high levels of calcium in your multi can prevent your body from absorbing as much iron as it otherwise would, which can be problematic if you have a tendency to have low iron levels and you're relying on your multivitamin to keep them up. On the same note, multivitamins can provide you with too many nutrients, which isn't necessarily a problem for some vitamins and minerals, which your body will just flush through urine, but it can be problematic for others, which can accumulate in your body and be detrimental to your health. A particularly important factor for vegans to keep in mind is that B12 is best absorbed in small doses. So that means that although your multivitamin may theoretically cover 100% of your needs, in reality, since all of the B12 comes in one dose, most vegans will likely still need to take a separate vitamin B12 supplement to meet their needs. Finally, I believe that multivitamins tend to give some people a false sense of security, and although this is going to sound very obvious, I think it's important to mention that most of your nutrients should come from a healthy diet filled with nutrient-dense foods rather than a multivitamin. But with that said, I realize that when it comes to their diet, many people use a multivitamin as an insurance policy. So let's discuss some tips to keep in mind when trying to pick the best vegan multivitamin for your needs. First, make sure it includes the nutrients which may be more difficult to get on a vegan diet. For more information on the vitamins and minerals I'm referring to, check out my vegan supplements video and accompanying article, which I've linked down below and in the cards above. If your iron levels haven't been diagnosed as low, try to pick a multivitamin that doesn't contain any iron to avoid any detrimental effects from getting too much iron. And on the same note, try to pick a multivitamin that provides only up to the required daily levels of each nutrient listed on the label. Many multivitamins will provide super doses far exceeding the recommendations, and this can also lead to detrimental health effects. It's also worth keeping in mind that supplements often don't contain what is actually listed on the label and sometimes become contaminated with unwanted ingredients, so it's worth checking whether your multivitamin has been independently tested by a lab, and a good place to get independent reviews and testing reports for various brands of multivitamins is Consumer Lab, and I'll link the website down below if you want to check it out. Some people recommend you make sure your supplements come from whole foods because they will provide a natural form of the vitamin instead of a synthetic one. Plus, whole foods also contain other beneficial plant compounds that you may not find in synthetic vitamins and minerals. But remember, most of the vitamins and minerals and beneficial plant compounds in your diet should come from foods, not supplements. So in the grand scheme of things, the premium price tag of whole food supplements may not be fully justifiable. On that same note, keep in mind that a multivitamin won't compensate for a bad diet, especially since it's nearly impossible to provide adequate levels of all the vitamins and minerals you require in pill form without making the pills so big you can't swallow them, or splitting the dosage over several pills, meaning you'll need to swallow more pills each day. But to keep pills the smallest size possible, do try to pick a multivitamin that adds as little additives and fillers as possible. I hope these guidelines help. I've also linked the accompanying video to this article in the description box down below so you can check it out. And if you have any questions or comments, do leave them down below as well. I love reading and responding to them. And with that said, that's it for today. Until next time, ciao ciao!